So I thought today we would talk a little bit about the triple conjunction of Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto that's occurring in the sign of Capricorn, since we had Saturn and Pluto meet in an exact conjunction today. So when I talk about the transit of Saturn and Pluto conjunct, I'll also be including Jupiter in that, since the three of them are not exact, but they are all communicating. Um, all communicating change and reformation in the sign of Capricorn. So our values begin with Taurus. They're maintained in Virgo, and the result is our principles in Capricorn. So values and resources are earth sign things. Capricorn and Saturn represent the stage of growth when faith and the confidence that springs from it are tested to see if it's real. So we are tested. We are put to the test to see if we are real at the Saturn stage of growth. So Saturn is unadorned reality, the great tester, the real boundary of something. He is the framer of things, the principle. And Saturn is the voice of reason. When we seek the mature side of Saturn, principles that spring from tested or untested faith are revealed. The beliefs that we espouse are what we're tested against to prove our worth when we arrive at the 10th house, Capricorn stuff. And we have the potential to become completely authentic at the Capricorn stage of growth, because we've passed all of our tests and we've proven ourselves. We've proven our worth. We've tested what images and beliefs we thought were true in an effort to really see what's true, to become true. And so we must put our faith to the test. Faith is believing in something without sufficient evidence. If we have sufficient evidence, then we don't need faith. Saturn sitting with Jupiter and Pluto reminds us that untested beliefs are not worth having. And this is why Saturn comes after Jupiter. If we don't pass the test, then we are proven unaware. When Saturn and Pluto meet, Saturn gives form to Pluto, and now we have Jupiter there that is being tested by Saturn. So our reality is giving form to a process of breakdown, of disintegration of religious beliefs, institutions, and governments, what we've always had faith in and looked to for security. So crisis is very real when we have these three together in the sign of Capricorn. Potential destruction from believing false things is really real. And so we will see our stupid beliefs, our fear, our ignorance are going to materialize as consequences. Capricorn. So the combination of Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto are showing that the growth of humanity is really at a crossroads. A great cycle is completed and another is now beginning. And so the due consequences of what has been built on the unevolved side of Pluto and Jupiter and Saturn, the consequences of that are now delivered. So the quality of the very bedrock of our faith, the quality of what that is built on, is really revealed. Jupiter conjunct Saturn and Pluto brings a time when we must test our faith and our confidence to know that it's real. This is the combination of Jupiter, Saturn, and Capricorn, and they're together. We need to know what we are justified in believing. If we are unwilling to severely test ourselves and our images of ourselves and our beliefs that stem from the images that we create about ourselves, then we cannot mature. We can't grow up. And we're never going to materialize as real boys and girls. We can't ever become authentic unless we're put to the test. If we shrink from the test, then we can't pass it. We are collectively learning to stop believing things that harm us and others and the planet, the place where our Saturn and Pluto resources come from. And when we have a Saturn-Pluto transit, especially in the birth chart itself, and now it's a collective thing, we have less under this combination. So our wealth and our abundance are brought into check. Recession is an expression of this triple conjunction. Even just when we have Jupiter and Saturn in a conjunction, we tend to see pullback, real values, or a return to real value after false values been exposed. So we need to save more at this time, and we need to spend less, and we need to embrace simplicity and be prepared to have less and work with less. We are going to have to learn to live within our limits and find meaning and purpose within those limits. We need to live within our means, and we need to embrace the facts of reality and the facts of our material limits in order to maintain order, to remain safe from our worst demons as a species. So we are having an enormous Saturn test as humanity, and bubbles are popping. How people respond to that really depends on how they deal with fear. And remember, fear, faith, facts, in that order. 8th, 9th house, 10th house. With Saturn and Pluto together, so we have structures and work and fear and paranoia and what is underneath the foundation of something. So we see old Saturnian structures, principles, institutions, leaders that have been set in place through untested beliefs based on Plutonic fears. This is the kind of thing that just crumbles and falls. Pluto exposes false loyalties. So Pluto comes to town to expose cultural, religious, political mythologies that are not actually keeping us safe as a species. So our deepest values are laid bare, and Plutonic secrets are revealed through unprincipled actions and cowardice. So we see the worst of people when we have a transit like this. The truth comes out with Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn. And many people are not equipped to deal with reality. And these people are set on a path to self-destruction, but believe themselves to be the safest because of the comforting beliefs that they hold. And this untested belief that gives them meaning and purpose and confidence, tells them that everything will be okay. So they'll sink further into their fallacies. And then there are those people who want to deal with what is actual and what is real, and will recognize the urgency of dealing with their own work of waking up, their own work of becoming their best self, their own work of becoming clear. And they will be the ones who can recognize the urgency of real danger and be able to take action on that. Acting when we are growing on the positive side of Saturn, we are erring on the maturing side of Saturn. Acting doesn't require the old motivation of fear. Not once when a self-possessed. For those ready to work within real boundaries, acting and not reacting, not reanimating what has already happened, the past. Action will bring results for these types of people who can act within the scope of what is, who can accept what is and be able to recognize what needs to be done. So that's where security comes from. That's where safety comes from. That's where real confidence comes from, is knowing your limits, knowing that you can take care of yourself, knowing that you can handle real situations, to become self-reliant, to be prepared to save oneself. The triple conjunction of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto really shows that more humans at one time will be leaving behind more baggage at once than we ever have. So if we are taking action on our own hypocrisy and on our own growth, and we are saving ourselves, then we're getting the lesson. We're passing the test. If we don't get the lesson, then we risk our future by obeying our fears, by just doubling down into what hasn't worked in the past. And if we act out of fear, then we are not going to evolve. We can't grow. We have to act out of authentic, principled, moral purpose, out of clarity. So do not put your future or ours in the hands of your worst demons. Don't commend yourself to untested beliefs and tell yourself it's virtuous to just believe. Belief itself is not a virtue. And this triple conjunction is pointing to a time in society when ancient institutions can fail due to personal hypocrisy and immaturity, not understanding how fears can drive us to find comfort in false things, false beliefs, and false people. If you are false, you are in danger of believing in others and pledging loyalty to people who are also false. The self-possessed human is prepared to deal with the consequences of living in reality. These are the people that we have to look to now to lead us into a future. These are the people we need to become so that we can go into a future where real change can occur, change that comes from clarity, not fearful confusion. The best side of Capricorn is humility, not humiliation, as we often suffer from before we solve our Saturn issues. But Saturn offers genuine humility. We will seek after what is good for us after we mature at the Saturn stage. When we finally flower, because that's what Saturn in the midheaven really represents, is where the flower opens up. When we reach our most beautiful form, we embody Saturn. He has a reputation for being ugly, but he is us at our most refined. He's us in our most artistic form. We can become a realized artist when we are flowering at the Saturn stage of development. And it's at this point, when we embody Saturn, that we don't need faith. We have true confidence born out of trust. We have trust. We trust ourselves. We trust the world. We are secure because we know that we are honest and true. We know our true worth, and we do not have to justify ourselves to anybody because we have justified ourselves to ourselves. We feel good about what we espouse to be. There's an honesty there. So with Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter together, we justify our confidence, the faith in what we have collectively built at this significant triple conjunction in Capricorn is put to the test. And how humanity chooses to deal with their personal fears is very much going to determine what the flocking behavior is going to be when it comes to the social consequences of this. So the more of us that can approach this as mature, self-possessed adults willing to act on facts and clear information, the better off we will be. So it's a very important, not just conjunction, but triple conjunction of the three, and signifies a very real new beginning.